Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have a special guest this evening at our party. A man who has a special and unique reason for being at any celebration connected with the Wizard of Oz. Because 35 years ago, he and his famous partner were the stars of the original Broadway production of The Wizard. You have all heard of the team of Montgomery and Stone, and I know you'll join me in saluting Fred Stone here tonight. Fred, it's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you very much, Bob.
Fred, there's one fellow here tonight you certainly ought to meet, and that's the man who plays your original part in the picture, the straw man. That's the role you created, isn't it?
That's right, the straw man, Bob.
Well, I want you to shake hands with Ray Bolger, the straw man in the picture. Ray, this is Fred Stone.
Fred Stone? Oh, Mr. Stone, I've always considered you the greatest eccentric dancer that ever lived.
Well, thank you, Ray. I sincerely consider you the finest eccentric dancer of the present time. In fact, I can truthfully say you're the man I'd have chosen to play the part of the straw man myself.
Oh, gosh, that means a lot coming from you.
Well, we thought we had a grand production in The Wizard. It was pretty good, too, in 1904. It was, of course, in those days. Yes, it was all right.
1904. Gosh, Mr. Stone, why, that was the year I was born.
You don't say. Well, young man, I'm thrilled to meet you. Here, so many years later.
No, I'm the one that's thrilled. I remember when you came to Boston at the Colonial Theater in your great show, Jack-o'-lantern, which, by the way, was the first show that I was ever allowed to see. And your wonderful performance in that show gave me my inspiration to be an actor, you know.
Well, Ray, you've done a pretty good job for yourself.
I wish I could think of an answer, Mr. Stone.
That's all right, son. The straw man ain't supposed to think. He never had a brain.
Say, am I supposed to take that as a compliment?
Certainly, my boy. From now on, I'll always think of Ray Bolger as a straw man.
Thank you, sir. Goodbye.
Well, Mr. Stone, I know just how you must feel
what's going on here?
Oh, Frank, this gentleman here was just comparing the Metro production of The Wizard with the original production on Broadway.
Really? Well, I was great in the Broadway production, too. Did you see it, young man?
Are you addressing me?
That production was a notable triumph for me. We played for months and months, and every night the crowds used to cheer madly every time
Frank.
I went into my... What?
You were in the original Broadway production of The Wizard?
Well, of course, I was the star. And every night, beautiful girls used to hang around the stage door waiting to see me.
Frank!
When I came out, what?
Let him go on, Bob. This is very interesting.
Yes, you're quite right, young man. In those days, I used to save my notices, and the critic on the New York Globe said Frank Morgan...
Hey, now, wait a minute.
What?
Did you ever hear Fred Stone? I understand he was in The Wizard of Oz.
Frank Stone?
Fred Stone.
Fred Stone. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. The boy came to me when the show was about to open, and I made a dancer of him. I gave him a small part in the production, and he made it was a very respectable showing.
Take it, Fred.
Thank you, Bob. Frank Morgan, I'm Fred Stone. I starred in the original production of The Wizard with my partner, Dave Montgomery. And I don't remember you at all.
That's right, Frank. Stone and Montgomery were the stars of the show, and you were never with them.
Montgomery. Stone, Brick, Boulder, Dam, Pebble. Rock. It all comes back to me now. I spent my time with Rock and Rye.
Rock and Rye.
Yeah. It was a great combination. Well, I'm glad to have met you, Mr. Rock. I've got to go to the...
That's all right, Mr. Morgan. I got to go myself.
Oh.
Yeah, I still think that you did a great job in The Wizard. That's not static, folks. That's the old scarecrow. So long, boy.
So long, Mr. Stone. Thank you. Say, Frank, this being the last program of the season, why don't you give the people a treat and tell the truth for 5 minutes?
My dear boy, the Morgans have always lived sans peur et sans reproche.
Oh.
From my earliest infancy, I was taught the virtue of honesty, and from manhood on, I have employed only the truth.
There's been a lot of unemployment lately.
Yes. Young, Metro is taking you and me off the air. Is that the way to talk to a fellow serf? For centuries, the Morgans have been servants of the truth. In fact, I trace my ancestry back to Diogenes Morgan. That's on my mother's side.
Yeah? What's on your father's side?
Ananias. Who said that? On my father's side, I trace
Now,
my...
wait a minute, George Washington. Put away your hatchet for a second.
Yeah?
If you're so handy with the truth, why did you make up this outrageous lie that you played in The Wizard of Oz in 1904?
Well, how did I know that Fred Stone was... I mean, anybody's liable to make a mistake once in a while. As a matter of fact, it was a very curious mistake for me to make because it was in 1904 that I invented the motion picture camera.
Oh, now we're going to get the truth. You've got the nerve to stand there and tell me you invented motion pictures, Mr. Morgan.
Screeno, Morgan, sir. The last of a long line of brownies. The inventor of the single sprocket, the double exposure, and the triple play. Unassisted.
All right, make up your mind, Wizard. Are you lying about baseball or about pictures?
About baseball. I mean pictures. I'm not lying.
Leave him alone, Bob. Say, Frank, I'm a candid camera fiend.
Oh,
And
a fiend, huh?
Yes. I just bought one last Saturday at Snarley's Camera Shop there on South Vine.
Uh-huh.
It's a nifty little camera. The girl at the store was very helpful. She showed me all the ins and outs. She sold me the camera.
Leica?
Oh, she was all right, but you know how Peggy is. Oh, you mean the camera? No, it was
for next year. Stealing my stuff. All right, go ahead.
Oh, you mean the camera?
Yeah.
No. No, it was a Craftaflex, 59 cents with 2 rolls of film.
Oh, this is intolerable. I've got to go and lie down.
Frank,
I can't... What?
Please tell about the camera you invented. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, it was in 1901 that I first conceived the idea that pictures could be made to move.
1901, huh?
Yes. At that time, I was in business for myself as a general inventor, occupying a back stoop at 112 Grumble Avenue, the Bronx.
That's at the corner of Surley Street.
Yes.
Is there any money in inventing, Frank?
Is there? The fellow that invented lifesavers made a mint.
No wonder.
Oh, well, it's the last program. You got to expect those things. First, I invented a spotless spot remover, and then
Just a minute, Frank. Never mind your lesser achievements.
Yeah.
Let's hear how you invented motion pictures.
Motion.
Yeah.
What picture? Well, while still a schoolboy, I mastered the chemistry of light emulsions and also became familiar with the peephole principle. In those days, I was known as Tom.
Got it. Okay, Tom.
Yes, I constructed my first high-speed motion picture camera in 1902, a crude instrument compared with those in use today, but miraculous when you consider that I made it entirely from odds and ends, which I'd purchased at no expense from a junk shop. Of course, I don't need to tell you, gentlemen, where that first Morgan camera reposes today.
In the junk shop.
Yes. It is not. It's in the Smithsonian Institution. Good heavens, I'm getting like the Cowardly Lion. My camera worked like a charm. I was ready to shoot the first motion picture, but I was stumped. No one had invented film.
You need that, don't you, Frank?
Yes, it was up to me again. I knew that snapshot film was made with celluloid, but how was a poor inventor to come by 500 feet of it with which to make a motion picture? I racked my brains for days and finally hit the solution.
You bought it from Eastman.
No. I made film out of celluloid collars.
Frank, what kind of film can you make out of laundry?
Technicolor? Well, that'll hold you for a while.
Well, how did you make it into film, Frank?
Well, it was tremendously difficult. I worked in a dark room, coating each collar with emulsion, splicing them carefully, and piercing the sprocket holes by hand. In 2 days, I was ready to shoot the picture.
You had actors and everything, I suppose.
All that had been taken care of. 2 weeks of shooting, and I was back in my dark room developing the first screen epic.
Gee, when's the preview?
3 nights later, I previewed it at the old Madison Square Garden in front of an audience of blue bloods, red bloods, and a few anemics. As soon as the lights went down, the picture hit the screen. What do you think?
What?
Well, the audience saw nothing but mushrooms.
Mushrooms? Where did the mushrooms come from?
Well, I forgot to take out the collar buttons. Well, so long, fellas. I'm going back to Waterman.